Welcome to the Dibbly Dobblers Cricket Podcast. As always, I am your host, Callum. In fact, your main host, Callum. And as always, I'm joined by my secondary host, producer, director, dinner lady.
For a brief second, well, go say my name.
Bruce.
Bruce. Okay, Sheila.
Andrew. How's it going this week, Andrew?
Yeah, it's going all right. I was just going to say that for a brief second there, I thought that in our week off you'd forgotten all that banter. But
Never
clearly not.
forgotten. Never forgotten.
Clearly not.
No.
Yeah.
I just forgot I was the main host. That was all it was.
Yeah. I feel tired, I have to say. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, we are currently recording at 20 to 11 at night.
Yeah, after having had a net session this evening as well.
Yeah, so I mean, if this is god-awful...
which it may well be.
There's no change there, but we do apologise for that. We always try and be more organised and things like that, but it never really happens, so just going to be tired. It's all right. Hopefully they crash the car on the way home and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's not an issue for me. I might fall over between here and get into my bed, though. That's an issue.
Those 20 paces.
Yeah. Enjoy the net session tonight?
That was good. Season's just around the corner. For some people watching or listening, they may well have started their season already.
Yeah, down south. Club cricket's already on the go.
In full flow.
Yeah.
Club cricket in Scotland kicks off at the end of next weekend. I think it's
week Saturday.
For pretty much
so
everyone, as far as I'm aware. So so looking forward to it. I missed the first week. Selfish cousin getting married, but what can I say?
I did not miss the first week, and I am buzzing.
Our teammates aren't, but
Well,
so.
I mean, after my performances tonight, no, they're not. That bowled well.
Bowling was all right. We have discovered that Andrew cannot catch a cold, so.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Anyway, what are we talking tonight?
Cricket, hopefully.
Cricket, yeah.
It's usually a good thing.
All Scottish cricket is what
I think we're pretty much on Scottish cricket. We're going to ignore everything else that's been going on around the cricket world. We're trying to focus in more on Scottish cricket.
Yeah.
So I suppose the big thing in Scottish cricket that's happened recently is the series... I don't know. They're not really series, but they are series. I don't.
Well, they are. They're like they're all mini tri-series as part of the Cricket World Cup.
In the UAE.
Yeah, Dubai International Stadium was played in. Tri-series against Oman and Papua New Guinea.
Well, they pretty much had Dubai's against Papua New Guinea because they weren't hard.
That is terrible.
Well, I mean, that's
that
fantastic.
I mean, well done, but that is absolutely abysmal.
I'm proud of it. So
there's people rewinding, going,
I don't
understand that joke.
Okay, so,
but yes, two commanding performances against. Papua New Guinea. Games were never in doubt.
No, which is we had spoken about beforehand. Really, that should be the case.
Yeah.
They've won one game in the whole thing so far. I can't remember exactly how many they've played. I don't think they've got many left. Them and Oman are now finished.
Yeah.
I can't remember if Papua New Guinea off the top of my head have got one more set. I think possibly. And that was good to see. Good to see that, Scotland are really now at a level that when they're coming up against opponents that they should be beating, they are beating, which is a really positive thing to see. I think just being that bit more clinical, I would say, across Scottish sport, with perhaps not just cricket, Scottish sport has been guilty at not being sort of dominant in these kind of games, and I think it's refreshing
absolutely.
to see.
Yeah.
Oman, kind of the polar opposite, very close games.
Absolutely. Two games that actually, with 5 overs to go in both of them, Scotland looked beat. In the first one, were defending a total.
Yep.
both games it was around about 220 odd. Very similar totals in terms of the in both games. But yeah, batted first in the first game. Looked out of it. Oman were getting very close and had plenty of wickets in hand. And then Mark Watt stepped up first and bowled a superb over where 3 wickets fell, I think. There was a run out within it.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it was finished off by an outstanding catch by Hamza Tahir.
So, I am going to be very controversial.
Oh, my days.
And think that this catch has been blown out of proportion as to how good this catch is. I'll be quite honest.
Go on then.
I don't know. I just feel like Twitter went absolutely mental for this catch. Like it was like right up there. And absolutely no chance is it right up there.
I thought it was a very, very good catch.
I'm not saying it wasn't a good catch. I just think it got blown out of proportion. And don't get me wrong, it's like tight game, right at the, to win the game, and that obviously adds to it. But come on now, like the one-handed like Kyle Coates or I can't remember. It was like World Cup many moons ago now, but like one-handed catch over the head, all these kind of things. Like it wasn't that.
No, it wasn't. But I think when. I mean, he was going backwards and then he was turning round and he was all over the place. And you add into the fact that if he dropped it, the game was done.
Oh no, I get the sort of the pressure that was on the catch. I just think the catch has been made out to be a better catch.
I still stand by that it was an outstanding catch.
Well, you can stand by that all you want, but you're wrong. I think the one thing I would say about it is that, and this is definitely credit to Hamza, I don't think Hamza Tahir 12 months ago was taking that catch.
I would agree with you, and I think that is a huge point from this series actually, is that Hamza Tahir's game all round has stepped up a level over the winter. He looks fitter.
Yeah.
His bowling looks more consistent. His fielding seems to have improved. We obviously didn't see much of him with the bat.
One ball.
Was it one ball?
One ball.
Saw?
And he got out.
Right, okay. So
I mean, his bowling and his fielding maybe look better. Yeah. His all-round game, I don't know.
Ayr Cricket Club are telling us that he's been smashing it in the nets.
Smashing it in the nets.
So,
but the amount of players that smash it in the nets. But I don't know. I'm not trying to take away from it. Amazing opportunity. Like, I mean, that must have been the bumhole must have been going.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It must have been like, oh dear. But I don't know. I do slightly feel like the catch itself has maybe got, but who cares? It was a good catch, and it was the pressure clutch situation, as they would call it in American sports. And he pulled it out of the bag again. Plenty of times in Scottish sport, we seem to bottle those moments.
Yeah.
And fair play as well to Adrian Neil is the other one who in that bowled well in the whole game as well, but in that moment stepped up to the plate and got the result as well. So I don't think he should be forgotten in that situation.
Absolutely, yeah. And then the second game, it was chasing down a total. And again, we looked out of it with 5 overs to go. There was loads of runs left and not very many wickets. And then Mark Watt stood up.
Turned down for what?
Yeah, I'm not going to do the tune.
Oh, well, that's disappointing. Copyright, is that it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, don't want to have to pay those fees. I mean, that's going to be my fantasy team name. I'd already decided that before you said
what,
that.
Turned down for what?
Turned down for what?
Stolen my team name. Liske be having you, will be beating you.
Yeah, but what's actually playing? So
I don't even remember what this fantasy. You just told me I'd signed up to some fantasy.
T20 Blast.
All right, cool. Okay. Well, Michael Lee should be playing, but more on that later.
Absolutely should. But yes,
But yeah, do you know what was outstanding? Mark Watt's celebration after he hit the winning runs. Quality. And Tell you what, see if I hit any winning runs this year.
You're doing that.
That's happening.
Lobbing the bat.
Lobbing the bat.
Chucking off the gloves.
Level 1 offence. Level 1 offence.
Taking off the helmet, kissing the badge, even though you don't have a badge on your helmet.
It was just, but it was good to see. Like,
it was brilliant.
Passion in it, and it was. It was.
Yeah. I wasn't convinced that he was stopping at the gloves and helmet. I thought the shirt was coming off.
Gigs in it, just like round the outfield.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think that's a side to Mark Watts' game that we don't often actually, for Scotland, necessarily have a requirement to see, and that's due to the sort of the performances of the top order in recent times. Well, and middle order, to be fair. But he has that ability with the bat as well, and provides some vital runs. I know he got some runs in the World Cup. When Greaves had his monster innings as well. But amazing. And to come out of the thing overall with 4 wins, I'd sort of said that when we spoke about this beforehand, that's what Scotland should be aiming for. Yeah. And just kind of thought, is this going to end up being another 3 wins, 1 loss kind of thing, or 2 and 2? And yeah, excellent stuff from the guys.
I think there's another couple of batting performances or performers that we should probably make mention of as well. Richie Barrington.
What a man.
Absolutely got a ton in the first game.
Yep.
And then another
90 something.
Yeah.
It can't be a ton.
No, he got 1 ton and another couple of decent scores. He had a fantastic series. And we also have to talk about Michael Leisk's just absolutely brutal performance in the second game against Papua.
It has happened to the best of us, to be fair.
Yeah, so you have been on the end of that.
Yeah, I am taking some credit for that. Because my Dibbly Dobblers prepped him for the PNG attack.
So spanking you around all parts of Fort Hill last summer was the ideal preparation.
100%.
Because, I mean, you sent him a few full tosses and everything, and he just put them everywhere, didn't he?
Well, you have to try something a bit different.
But yeah, he scored the fastest 50 in a one-day international by an associate cricketer. Beating Richie Barrington's 20-ball effort against Ireland in 2011. So Liske got to the mark on the last ball of the innings, his 18th delivery he'd faced. He got to 50. It was just absolutely brutal. And some of the sixes,
it was.
One of them went into the second tier of that Dubai stadium. Yeah.
It was a 12. It's just...
Yeah.
What was it? He might be a fan of, was it Kevin Peterson I'd seen suggested?
100 metre six should be a 12.
Yeah. It's like, oh God. Imagine that. Hey, hang on a minute, we're just doing the calculation.
I mean, given that, digressing a little bit, but given that Kevin Peterson's mate Rob Key is now the managing director of the ECB, let's see that rule coming in the 100.
I thought we weren't going to touch on Rob Key.
We're not.
Why did you have to bring the mood down?
We're not. Right. Get the mood back up.
I wonder if the ECB, though, also have the secret.
Oh, the key to another place.
Yeah. Not to test cricket, no doubt. But
anyway.
And George Munsey, did he not? I'm maybe inventing that because it
scored 60-odd in the game that Berrington scored his ton. I think he got about 220 runs at an average of 70-odd across the series.
Aye. So, I mean, he had
a very strong series from him as well.
Yeah. But no, it was excellent. You know, and there was lots of performances. I mean, you look at one of the things that I find, if I was Gavin Maynard, would be kind of wondering how I get more game time. Would have been the only thing I would have said.
Personally, I would have played him in the last game.
Yes. I mean, Gavin Maynard. We'll come on and touch on on it a little bit more later. But in the last 12 months, has taken the most ODI wickets for Scotland. And I've got to be honest, I think we've obviously got Josh Davey and Brad Wheel playing down south.
Yeah.
Now, because of that, we know we only get them very occasionally and whatnot.
You don't get them through the summer.
Yeah. And he just kind of looks like I don't know if it's been a bit harsh on the other guys, but kind of probably the first one that I look at them and go, as a seam bowler, you look like absolute quality. We have good seam bowlers. I'm not saying that the other ones are not, but just that kind of slight level above.
Yeah.
And he's still a pretty young lad, so he's still kind of got things to develop, I'm sure, and he'll probably come on further. But yeah, I mean, he got bowls at a decent pace and just looks very good.
Yeah, he moves the ball in the air and as well.
Yeah, I mean, at home as well, you would imagine
I think
that would just go
effective.
even more. So,
yeah.
But lots of positives.
Yeah, I mean, you had Neil and Main both looked very good.
Yeah, and I think that's where I go, yeah, you must be wondering how you didn't get game time, but then you also go, Adrian Neil might have also been going, yeah, how did I not get more game time? And obviously his height, he offers you just that other variation.
Safian Sharif didn't have the greatest of series, but I mean, he's kind of earned over the last few years that he is the leader of the attack. So
in ODI cricket, certainly in the last 12 months, Safi has had a bit of a lean time of things.
Yeah.
But he has, I think, earned the right.
He's got the credit in the bank.
Yeah. But, and I think it's reassuring to see as an associate nation. I mean, some of the full member nations have the problem that they can't actually drop somebody because realistically there's no real options to bring in. And it's good to see that Scotland are getting to a point where actually they're not so much having that problem. There's maybe the odd batting position that's still there's not the depth, but that's going to come. We're only
one we spoke about was Matthew Cross had a fairly lean series as well.
And year as well.
Yeah. He's probably the only position actually that you really look at and go, right, who is the alternative?
Yeah. And that probably continues. Is. But I don't think it's a good thing, and I think most of the other nations, I still think, while associate cricket's coming on, I think a lot of them, good starting 11, you start chipping away a couple of them, and actually it doesn't look so great. And particularly in the bowling department, I think Scotland currently have an abundance of talent, which is fantastic to see.
Really good week of work out in Dubai.
Yep.
Next up is a trip to the United States for another tri-series. This time it's against the USA and the UAE. Get all my letters in the right place there.
Wouldn't you fancy commentating that, Kim?
USA, UAE.
USA, UAE. You're definitely getting that wrong at some point.
Absolutely, yeah.
America.
Against the Emirates.
Yeah.
Another. I think we'll speak about it more as it come closer to the time.
Yeah.
But it's something that another series that we go into. We need another 4 wins here, I think.
Yeah, and we've set ourselves up into a good situation. I think realistically from here, as long as Scotland keep performing to their ability, we should get one of those 3 spots from to get ourselves into the qualifier without having to go through the playoff route. And I think the good thing is that the Scotland team with Kyle Coates at the head, they're not going to rest on the laurels. They're not that kind of group of guys. They'll keep working hard. They'll keep striving for it. And the good thing is, as well, because of things like having the competition for places, that actually just makes that an even bigger thing, because guys know they have to step up or they might lose their place.
Yeah.
I don't really know exactly American conditions. What you'd assume they would be more sort of home friendly than Dubai. I mean, it's probably not.
I mean, it's not that. I think the games are being played in Florida, aren't they?
Yes, I mean, it's still going to be warm.
Yeah, you're not that far from the Caribbean.
No.
So maybe it's going to be more West Indian type.
You would, yeah.
Pitches.
I mean, obviously, West Indies have played some games there in the past and things, but so you'd imagine our the spinners will probably have a say in what goes on. But yeah, we'll touch on that more closer to the time. Well, I think obviously we've just touched on some of the fantastic performances we've had from this series, but this week the Wisden Cricketers of the Year were announced.
They were.
Who were
Go on then.
Ollie Robinson,
Yep.
Jasprit Bumrah, Devon Conway, Van Niekerk, and I can't remember the fifth person.
You've done so close to
It's
a fantastic job there.
It's another non-English male, but I can't remember who
It is.
KL Rahul. No?
Named the Wisden Cricketer of the Year, and it was Rohit Sharma.
Rohit Sharma, that's a man. Anyway.
Who today actually became the
most duckiest ducker in IPL history.
Yeah. More ducks than anyone else in the history of the IPL.
I mean, has he not played the most games in IPL?
He's been there a bit. Been there a while, hasn't he?
I mean, being an opener, like, you're going to get that. Like,
yeah, you are.
Probably forgive that.
Yeah.
But yeah, but one of the things we sort of thought, why don't we do Scotland Cricketer of the Year? Or Cricketers of the Year. So we did at one point go, we'll do 5.
And that's what I tweeted this afternoon, but we've changed our mind since then.
Yeah, part of why we're recording at 11 o'clock at night is because we thought, well, hang on a minute, if we carry this on in future years, because one of the things I hadn't appreciated was you can only be a Wisden Cricketer of the Year once.
Yeah.
Which explains why they have Joe Root as leading cricketer in the world.
Leading Cricketer of the Year, right.
But not a Cricketer of the Year. And I know I saw sort of Twitter going, like, why is Ollie Robinson there and things, but
everyone else has
been
wrong.
He's had a good year. Like, I'm not saying he's not. It's particularly because in the end, the Wisden's is only really about the English summer period.
Yeah.
So he did have a good home summer, but it's probably in part he's helped by the fact that there are other guys around who've had good years that can't do it, such as Joe Root.
So we're going to follow these rules again. Our plan is to do this every year going forward. Is that a commitment for us to still be doing this next year? Absolutely.
Well, I mean, possibly. Who
knows? So we're going to go with 3. From
we'll go with 3. It's a smaller pool, and we're not looking. Unlike Wisden, we're not going to look at how, like Zimbabwe were over in Scotland. We're not going to consider the opponents. We're just considering Scottish players.
Yes.
That might change going forward when we start paying more attention and things like that. But I think for the time being, Scottish cricketers only. So
we had a long list of 5. Yeah.
I mean, the long list was even longer.
Well,
I just had the joyous job of
the medium list was 5.
Yeah. Well, when we were going to do 5, we had 5 that we had decided upon. So interestingly, one person who didn't make the 5 was Mark Watt, who I think, interestingly, both of us had it in our head. Well, before we actually sort of broke it down into what the statistics were and things like that, which I know some people argue statistics aren't everything, yada, yada, yada. But actually, Mark Watt didn't have the best 12 months in the ODI side of the game.
Yeah.
So the 5 were Richie Barrington, George Munsey, Michael Liske,
Catherine Bryce,
and Josh Davey were the 5. Apparently, I can only remember 4 names tonight. That's so we sort of, when we went to 3, we were like, right, okay, well, we're gonna have to whittle this down. So
indeed. Runners and riders then.
Who's done what? Right. So who's done what?
Mr. Statsman.
Mr. Statsman. Right. So Richie Barrington has scored 901 runs across both formats, an average of 53, I didn't work out exactly what his strike rate was, but it's roughly across the two formats a run a ball.
Right.
He hasn't really bowled. He's got one wicket, but he's not in this. He's in this as a batsman in this conversation. George Munsey, typically, I've not got his T20 record, annoyingly. I don't know why. But he made his biggest impression in reality in the ODI side of the game, where he scored 450 runs, just 4 runs short of Richie Barrington's total for the year, but an average of 75. He averaged, off the top of my head, high 20s, I want to say, in T20 cricket. So yeah, he had a decent year, but without being fantastic in T20 cricket. Yeah. But he is up at the top. He's there to try and have an explosive start in T20 cricket. So yeah, he's mainly there, and his strike rate in ODIs is 86. So Michael Leisk has battered people to all sorts. Rough strike rate of about 145 across both formats. So he's racked up more than 200 runs. But I think the big difference is we sort of had a conversation with Michael Leisk this year, or about Michael Leisk this year. It'd probably be fair to say that he was a batsman. His explosive batting was probably why he was in the team. Yeah. And the fact he could offer some overs. But
I also think that 18 months ago, Michael Leisk wasn't assured of his place in the Scotland team.
Absolutely.
He was a rotational player.
Yeah.
He was a batsman who you could throw the ball to occasionally when you needed an over. Yeah. I think now Michael Leisk is a genuine all-rounder. Yep.
His stats back that up. I mean, he's in ODIs. He's taken 11 wickets at 15.64 with an economy rate of 3.58. Now, probably the best spinner in theory in ODI, or just sole spinner, is Hamza Tahir, who's taken 12 at a higher average of almost 22 and a slightly worse economy of 3.74. So, I mean, statistically, in ODI cricket, you'd argue he's the best spinner. Yep. There are mitigations around that. I'm not going to go as far as making that claim necessarily. And then in T20 cricket, he's taken 8 wickets at 22.25, an economy of 7.12. Similar sort of average to what Mark Watt has taken, albeit a little bit more expensive because Mark Watt's at 6.2. Just because Excel decided to delete itself from my computer and not reinstall properly. So Josh Davey took 10 wickets at 18.1 and also had a fantastic county championship. Didn't have those stats in front of me. But yeah, so he was an interesting one because he's slightly different. Yeah. He's bringing forward his English domestic game. But at the end of the day, he's there. He's a Scottish player. He's still representing Scotland. Yep. I would actually say if you go back and look at the tail of the tape in terms of stats, he was probably the biggest influence on a bowling point of view for Scotland qualifying out of the for the World Cup proper. Yeah. Well, technically it was. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. To me, it was just it was a qualifier, and people weren't giving it its real name. Yeah. And then the 5th member of the list.
Well, just before the one thing, I think the other thing you need to call out with Josh Davey is his T20 Blast performance.
Oh yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Because particularly towards the tail end of the Blast.
Yep.
When he won the quarter-final, semi-final
with the bat.
Yeah. He was brilliant.
Yeah.
So there's all that to consider too.
Yeah. And then the final person was Catherine Bryce, who scored 247 runs in T20I cricket at just shy of 31 and almost a run a ball, which, you know, comparing that to some of the male stats, you kind of go, that's not that great. I mean, in terms of people who scored meaningful runs for Scotland over the course, the only person with a better strike rate was our sister, Sarah Bryce. And then really the other people have got a meaningful amount of runs. They're down in sort of the 80 sort of strike rate. So, I mean, run a ball... and this was one of the interesting things, actually, when you're looking at this, is it's very difficult in some regards to compare, women's and men's stats against each other. You do have to try and take them in their own picture. Probably arguably where she's shone most, though, in the last 12 months was in the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy, the domestic one-day competition in England, which scored 353 runs at 50.43 and a strike rate of 81. Now, that's a strike rate in one-day cricket that does stand up, I would suggest, against male counterparts. But on top of that, she's also an all-rounder, so she's taken 10 T20I wickets at 19, and she also took 10 wickets at 24.6 in the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy, and also earned MVP for the competition.
Yeah, and I think that is probably the key as well.
Yes, absolutely.
She was outstanding in the domestic season last year. Yeah.
Really a step above, in reality, what most of the other Scottish women are playing. There are the exception to that, our sister being one. So, I suppose that maybe the MVP element to Catherine Bryce, maybe without a shock, I think our first person. We're not ranking them. We're not ranking the three. Or are you ranking the three? I mean, that's not historically what it's done.
No, but I would suggest that we...
even so...
we give our leading... We do a leading cricketer of the year from the three.
All right, that's really good of Andrew to just drop that in during...
to be fair...
on air.
We both agreed beforehand who would be the leading cricketer. So.
But yeah, okay, so we'll not rank them when we announce the three. So I think, just following on from the MVP performance in the Rachel Hayhoe Flint, probably unsurprisingly, that number one, or the first person on the list is Catherine Bryce, as a Dibbly Dobbler Cricketer of the Year. All these people, they'll be queuing up to be part of it.
We're going to have to get them wee trophies. Get them in the post.
Maybe certificates.
Certificates.
E-certificates.
You got a laminator.
Absolutely, mate. I actually have a laminator.
That does not surprise me.
Well, right, so... the next person...
Did I announce the next one?
You announce the next person. Do it.
I think you were going Richie Barrington for the next one.
I was.
You were, yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, he's the statistics with the bat. He's just been Scotland's best bat over the last 12 months.
Yeah.
There's really no debate in that, I don't think.
And he's also, one thing with Richie Barrington as well, is he is an amazing fielder.
And just a top bloke.
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely. But, I mean, he's one of these guys that is fielding, actually. He's stopping runs that other guys are letting go past.
That other good fielders are letting go past. He is an exceptional fielder.
He had one, I'm sure it was the Oman game, and he was at point. Yeah. He just had to stop. It was absolutely pelted at him.
And it was a full-length dive.
Aye. Yeah. And you were just I mean, it's something that John T. Rhodes would have been proud of producing. It's just, absolutely. And the third one is Michael Leisk.
Yep. Michael Leisk, as we say, his performances with the ball have been fantastic over the past year. And he's just brutal with the bat. Callum would like to take credit in warming him up for that.
I have to take credit where credit is due.
That T20 just shy of a double ton that he scored against you.
Well, not against just me. My overs weren't that bad.
What did you go for that night?
Oh, it was something pretty miserly. It was I think it was the best part of 50 off 2 overs or something. It wasn't.
In
great.
fairness, they did score 320 odd off the 20.
I think I was the second least economical bowler. So that was fun.
Yeah. Pelted to all parts.
So So you've got Richie Barrington, the leading male batsman by really a comfortable amount.
Yeah.
There's on ODIs alone, there's a conversation between him and Munsey, but across the board, it's comfortable. Michael Leisk has been the number one all-rounder. There is an argument to say across both formats, he has actually been the leading spinner. Yeah. And interestingly, around the time of the World Cup, there was his selection was being criticised. There was thoughts Hamza Tahir should be in instead, and Watt and Tahir should both be playing, and whatever else. I feel some of those people maybe have a bit of egg on their face what he's then gone on to do, because Watt and Tahir have been successful in one form but not in the other. Okay, Tahir's is perhaps through lack of opportunity in T20s, but even so. And then Catherine Bryce. Well, I mean, Catherine Bryce, it's one of these, she's Catherine Bryce. Like, I mean, it kind of has just in Scottish women's cricket, it's kind of just become that. Like, she is that good. But who are we going for then, Andrew? I'll let you announce it because I do too much talking.
Leading cricketer of the year for 2021-2022.
We should have one of those buttons. Can add sound effects.
Richie Barrington. He has been so good. So good.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You say 1 ton, 750s.
Yeah.
Just a superb year that he's had, and long may it continue.
Yeah, so I absolutely well deserved. I don't know whether in the next 12 months we'll see a bit more bowling back. I think some of it was, a sore back if memory serves me right. But so I don't
carrying the baton.
So obviously these three cannot be considered for the Dibbly Dobblers Cricket of the Year going forward, but they are the inaugural Cricketers of the Year. But they can be considered for the world leading
cricketer of the year. Yes, they can, absolutely.
So that's, I mean, we really have to be a bit more organised next year.
I mean, we've got a year to think about it. So
start now.
Quite enjoyed that chat.
It was good. It was good. I mean, it's excellent to see the talent, and I mean, there are also plenty of cricketers not mentioned who have had very good years and some standout individual performances as well. So, and so we will see what next year's brings.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess that brings us.
Well, the only other thing we had was we had polls going on Twitter.
Oh, we did, yeah.
So I feel like we shouldn't really just forget about them. I'm not sure about your thread posting. I'm not sure on that. I've got to admit, but
I'm not sure about you setting polls to last for a week either. But
I set them to run up until before the episode. Some people.
I know. Anyway, so we asked you who do you think's going to win the SPCU North East Championship. We split it into 4 groups. So the initial group results have all come in.
Yep.
And the 4 contenders on public opinion are Aberdeenshire, Strathmore, Meagle, and Fruki. So it's going to be another poll go up. We're going to ask you which of those 4 are going to win.
Apparently I'll not be for a week, or Andrew will be grieving. Yeah. So who do we think is going to win the NEC out of those 4? I mean, obviously we're back in Meagle because they've actually come on and spoke to us. Although, actually, to be fair, Aberdeenshire have agreed to come on. We've just not sorted that out yet. So actually, scrap that.
Yeah. So,
but anyway,
I mean, what are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts?
So Meagle looks strong. Fruki have signed Safi and Sharif. How much will be available? I'm not quite sure.
I think that is quite a key factor in it. It's difficult to look past Meagle, I've got to be honest, because they don't seem to be much different from the team that was playing in the EPL.
In fact, I would say on the bowling front are probably improved because they've kept their seam attack,
Yeah.
And Raju, their professional from a couple of years ago, is back with them. And so that improves, I think, their spin attack.
And I think Pete, when he was on, did he not indicate there might be an amateur
as well? So
I'm not sure what that does to the makeup. But, they've kept the Rashid brothers.
Yeah.
Which that was quite big. I think we'd sort of heard some murmurs about both or one maybe not being there, but they seem to be staying. And I just think as an all-round attack and batting lineup, I would have suggested that is very, very strong. Fruki have got a very, very good seam bowling attack. And if Safi is available, that only strengthens that. I would be surprised if Safi plays half the games in the year.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me if he plays half the games and wins the bowling trophy or something, because, and
maybe even the batting trophy
as
well.
I would expect him to come in and be pretty dominant. He has the slight advantage to what some other guys don't have, is because he is effectively just the pro. I know he's the player coach, but if you had a pro coming in from overseas who's not played over here before, they might have to get acclimatized and whatever else. I probably would be guessing at those two, but I suppose one of the interesting things is they're both in the same section. They're in the south section. And then you've got the north section as well. I don't know. I have a sneaking suspicion Aberdeenshire have possibly won their group as much because of the history behind the club.
Mm-hmm.
Gordonians have been a very, very good team for a long time in the SPCU. Now, okay, Aberdeenshire were playing a league above that for a long time, but it isn't the team that used to play. It's not. It's not remotely the same team. So, but I think I would be back in Meagle personally, and probably Fruki would be my second favourite, but I don't see that being the 1-2 because of this regional split. I would imagine that's going to have some influence on the outcome.
Yeah.
But I think Meagle would be who I'd be backing. We'll see what the people think. Do you have any thoughts on it? Do you even know who plays for any of the teams?
I know some of them.
Some of them.
I mean, you've got the advantage of having played against or with
most of them last year.
Teams, I'm not as good a cricketer as you, unfortunately. So. I
didn't know you were allowed to call yourself a cricketer. I thought there was an injunction against that.
Oh dear, I was going to swear, but I remember we don't do that on this podcast, so
I
held it in. Anyway, let us know what you think. Vote on the poll when it goes up. You can get us at I'll start that again. You can get us at DibDobPod on Twitter. It is 11:20 in the evening.
I know, so I'm going to forgive you.
My brain is fried. So we are going to love you and leave you. Thank you, as ever, for watching and for listening. We do love you.
If you're listening to this podcast and haven't had a breakdown, good job. Yeah. So we love you.
We commend your fortitude. I don't know if that makes sense.
But I don't know. Hopefully we'll both also have had haircuts before next week, because we're both looking like absolute scruffs.
Look at the state of that. Look at that.
Those greys are getting more and more every week as well.
That's because I sit and chat to you every week.
Get abused by me every week.
Exactly. Anyway, thank you again for listening, and we'll speak to you next week.
Bye.